This CDS 520, which came from a storage facility in the Zurich area, is in functional state, but it shows some heavy wear and will definitely use a good level of work as well.
Retrocomputing is the use of older computer hardware and software in modern times. I'm the vintage collector and these are my stories.
It's now the third time over I'll be doing a restoration on a Presario all-in-one machine. While the CDS 524 was done way before this channel existed, at least I could cover the Presario 425, which was a total loss and needed heavy rework. Now, the CDS 520 is similar to the CDS 524. By default, it comes with a stock 4MB of RAM and a 420MB hard drive, coming with Z486 SX2 CPU running at 66 MHz as compared to the CDS 524's DX266 CPU. I found this in a Zurich-based storage facility, and although it has some pretty heavy wear, I couldn't leave it behind. To be honest, they had too. But the second one was so totally worn down and even missing the mainboard, so that I skipped to take it. Luckily, this one here still powers on. No surprise, it complains about the depleted BIOS battery, but that's no big deal. And although it still has the hard drive equipped, it seems to be in fact dead, as neither do I hear it spinning up, nor would it appear in MS Diagnostics. After all, that's also not going to be a big issue, as I just received a bunch of contemporary IDE hard drives, so I can go for an authentic restoration here. To tear down the machine, remove the mainboard carrier from the backside, then remove those 4 screws to unlock the cover. It's one big piece and the machine easily slides out if you turn it around. I'll also remove the drive carrier in order to get access to that broken hard drive, which is a Quantum ProDrive LPS. You saw before already the markings on the plastics, but here you get to see now how deformed the metal base plate actually is. I have to remove it completely from the frame structure, which also means to fiddle around with all the wiring on the inside. There's not a lot of room here, so act carefully and don't forget to take some pictures to document the correct orientation of the plugs. Also, the PCB of the back plate must be removed before I can try to bend that base plate back into its original shape. I just push it over the edge of my workbench, gently in several iterations. I don't apply too much force in order to not stretch it too much. It took only a few minutes before I could reassemble and reinstall it to the frame. And as you can see here, it's now more or less straight again. But it wasn't just the base plate that was deformed. Also the mainboard carrier was bent and I had to remove the mainboard and the I/O bezel as well. And you get to see that this machine also features the add-on modem board that was absent on my other CDS 524 machine. Here again I apply gentle force to bend the steel back. But it doesn't end here. There's some plastic breakages, like here on the outer monitor frame or here on the front bezel. I'm gluing all of it back using a 2 components plastics glue. There's also some stickers which I'm about to remove by the help of a heat gun. And the heat gun is also of some assistance on indents like this one. By softly heating up the plastics I can partly push it back into its original shape. But there's also situations where I have to sculpt the plastics back, like here where I take the blueprint of the upper left rounded corner. I will be using this soon again, as I'm filling up the lost material on the upper right hand corner where I need to apply this shape to restore its original likeness. Then I'm turning over to the mainboard where I'm quickly identifying the connectors for the battery in order to desolder the original battery holder and attach a new one. As I said before, no big deal, and so I can reassemble everything again, including that new battery cell holder. I'm also installing new hard drive, although I had to swap the original COMPAQ furnished screws. Although the spare drive was actually also a COMPAQ labeled quantum drive, it seemed to have different dimensions on the controller's PCB. This caused the PCB to take some minor damage when installing the original screws. Thankfully, I realized this before causing any greater damage, so I could swap the screws by shorter ones before I turn on the machine. And it seems to power on again. That's great. Of course, the machine is still complaining about the misconfigured BIOS. As with most older COMPAQ machines, this one does also need the Diagnostics diskettes to perform the actual BIOS configuration. So I'm quickly booting up from the Diagnostics floppies, which will also prompt me to install them onto the spare hard drive. That's a good idea, because once installed to disk, we will get this rectangular block cursor in the upper right hand corner during the post, from where you can press F10 to enter the diagnostics and configuration utilities right away. This way you don't need the diagnostics floppies around. I'll then be reinstalling the CDS520 using the recovery CD. An image of this one can be found on archive.org. It needs a serial number to install, and unfortunately it doesn't accept mine from the chassis. But luckily you can take any of the documented serial numbers and it'll install just fine. This recovery image comes with MS-DOS 6.2 and Windows 3.1. However, COMPAQ replaced the Windows Program Manager by TabWorks, which gives it a notebook-like user interface. Upon first startup, you'll get greeted by the COMPAQ Welcome Center, giving you various options to get to know your new COMPAQ machine, like here the 500 series system tutorial, the systems manual, a glossary and a systems checkup utility. And even with the unfamiliar UI, it's interesting to see what COMPAQ bundled along with this machine. You get the home version of Visio 3.0 long before it was bought by Microsoft. Or the even more incredible machines, which reminds me of Joseph's machines. Then here's a heap of multimedia utilities, a fax program and more. And as this recovery CD was obviously intended for another 500 series model, some things will bug you on startup, like this obscure error message. Simply remove the device driver and the startup object and it will be fine. So it's about time to finish the assembly of this system. Now, the default 4MB of RAM seems a bit scarce, especially for a 66MHz machine, so I installed an additional 8MB into the 2 memory slots. And since I'm about to do a network related series soon, I'm installing an ISA 10-base-2 10-base-T network card as well. Upon the next reboot, the machine would correctly complain about the changed memory size. Interestingly enough, when starting up Windows, I would get greeted with this additional prompt telling me that I had installed a plug-and-play networks card. Now, this is something that was only known from Windows 95 onwards, and COMPAQ was foreshadowing this somewhat on Windows 3.1 by means of their own utilities. And this concludes today's look into the CDS 520 restoration. As you see, the marks are still mostly there, as I'm still investigating on how to get rid of these in the best possible non-destructive way. I'm the Vintage Collector, and this was my story for today. Thanks for watching, and see you again Sunday next week.
Next time on the Vintage Collector.
Following up on the COMPAQ Presario CDS 520, I wondered about its CPU. It has a clock multiplied 486 SX2, but is it actually that obscure as I thought, or was it actually just a commodity CPU?